can't remember what he said. I need him to pull that slide up, if possible. Is it gone now? Here, I'll choose
No,
this.
we can bring it back. We can resurrect it.
That's cute. Try to give Russell a straight answer here. No. The best explanation, yeah. Go back. Let's get everybody on the same page. Go back to this one. The best explanation. So Russell wanted to know, we're contesting the facts. And I'm skeptical about more than he is, and I'm also much more pessimistic about human nature than he is. It's to his credit. So he wanted to know, suppose that we granted for the sake of argument that we have those 4 facts, then would we have good basic grounds here to accept the resurrection claim? And I think my quick answer to this is, fine, if you get your 4 facts, then I want to heap in a bunch of other facts about human psychological dispositions and cognitive functions. And so once you get the complete picture here about people's strong dispositions towards supernatural beliefs, the widespread belief that people have in ghosts, informal polling in my classroom show that 70 or 80% of my students think they've either seen a ghost or they know somebody who has. When you do polling nationwide, you get 70% of Americans believe in ghosts and believe in all sorts of psychic powers and mental capacities and telepathy and the like. So a long list of perhaps what you'd think of as paranormal beliefs, but I want to sort of put under the general umbrella of supernatural beliefs. There's a lot more we know about human psychology. So if we're going to add those facts, I want to heap those facts in there too. And then consider all of that when we ask the question, now, what's the best way to explain the alleged 4 facts? And I think what's going to happen there is that the result is that you still come out in my favor, and you still have to conclude, look, and let me say a word here about how pessimistic I am about these folks. Part of what Russell's trying to do here is to give credit to Paul and the people in the surrounding era and the people close to this alleged event, credit for being skeptical and being thoughtful, being careful, being investigating and the like. When in fact, I think it's very easy to do this. I think it's very easy to sort of think of yourself and think of how you think about the world and the way you approach the world and the way your friends do and the like, and then project that back across history and think of them as being more or less like you. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake for a lot of reasons. Here's what happens. We know this too from looking at empirical research, that to make the simple point now, is that when education goes down, religiousness and spirituality, supernatural disposition, supernatural belief goes up. There's an inverse relationship for humans, that as they get more and more educated, they drop off with many of these religious beliefs. And we know this from looking at lots and lots of data about people now. So if you project that point back across 2,000 years and realize that what we're talking about here are people who haven't had the benefit of any of the education you've had, the simple K through 12 education you've got, no cell phone in their pocket, no Google, can't fathom how you can live without that. Don't have access to this broad, instant access to all of this information, and don't know, they don't know a fraction of the things that you know, just common sense things you know about what causes disease, or why do people act that way sometimes, or what sorts of things are healthy to eat, what are not healthy to eat, what sort of effects will this have on my life and the like. That the differences between you and them are going to be staggering. That to talk to someone like that, you would simply be amazed at how different their whole consciousness, their whole worldview was. And different in a negative fashion. We're going to be talking about people that you would see as incredibly superstitious and misinformed and confused about very simple, very basic things. So let me give you a sort of example. Here's a time travel example that kind of helps. About 100 years ago, and I can't remember the tribe now, but a Native American tribesman wandered down out of the hills up here in Placer County. His name was Ishi. And by most reckonings in the anthropologists, they said that he was the last surviving member of this really isolated, more or less Iron Age, maybe Stone Age tribe of Native Americans. And no one had any contact with this tribe, and he wanders down out of the hills, and he becomes this big sensation. He's in all the papers, and anthropologists have a heyday with him, and they study him, and they teach him English, and he goes on this tour and the like. So imagine sitting down with Ishi, and Ishi has this view that when people die, they go to this magical, transcendent land of the dead, and that's where all of his relatives are, and they talk to him on a regular basis. All right, so here's somebody who's more or less taken out of history and dropped down in your lap. Now, can you imagine sort of taking that from him and going, yeah, that's right, that seems to be accurate, that seems to be a reliable characterization of reality. And my guess is that were you to go down through all these various things that we're talking about skepticism, skepticism here is going to be a very mitigated sort of skepticism, and they're not going to be the sort of people, not going to be investigating and questioning this topic the way one might think. And I'll just make one more quick point, and then I'll wrap it up. Let's ask this question. Let me turn this whole thing around. Could the historical evidence for the resurrection have been better than it is? Even if we grant the entire case that Russ is making, could it have been better, hypothetically, than the one that Russ is describing? So notice the various carefully constructed points and the defenses he's having to give for every issue. I think the obvious answer to that is yes. It could have been much better than it was. And I have another question. Could an omnipotent God, an all-powerful God, the creator of all of reality, have made it so that there was better historical evidence for this event than what we currently have? However you see the dispute between me and Russell. And I think the answer to that is absolutely, unequivocally, yes. If that being can create the universe, certainly that being could have made a better event, a more profound event, an event that was viewed by more people, of more reliable character, and preserved in a more reliable fashion, and bigger and better and the like, with mountain fresh scent and the like. There's no question that it could have been better than it was, and that God was capable of making it better than it was. So if that's right, and if that being's intention, or his purpose, is that you believe in the resurrection of Jesus on the basis of the historical evidence, then I want to know what gives. Is that it? That's the best you got? You want me to believe in the resurrection on the basis of this sketchy little set of threads connecting me to that event? And I'll stop there and we'll open for questions.